Hi everyone, welcome back to my studio. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Laura, and I'm really excited today. With the Valentine holiday coming around, my favorite part is all of the chocolate and candies that flood all of our stores. And so today we're going to do an illustration of one of those candies. And I think everybody's favorite Valentine candy, and the one Valentine's is probably the most known for aside from chocolate, is the Valentine Sweethearts. Yay! Honestly, those candies aren't all that tasty, but they are so fun to open those boxes and read the little messages that are printed on them. And I think that's really the whole point of those candies, or is not to eat them, but to get them out and, piece them together and come up with a cute phrase to send to your loved one or sweetheart. So hence the name Sweetheart Candies. So basically let's jump over to my desk and we're going to take a look at the supplies that I used during this video. And then we'll move into the footage and we'll get started. Okay, everybody, let's go over the materials that I used in this illustration. First of all, I'm using my 8" by 8" Illo Sketchbook. This is not a marker sketchbook. It has Illo right on the back. It's got a faux leather cover that I'm sure you could create any, customize the cover with acrylic paint or whatever. But anyway, like I said, this paper is a pretty heavyweight paper. I believe it's 111 pounds. I'm not sure what that equates to in GSM, but it's a smooth surface paper. It's good for markers, but it does bleed through. So keep that in mind. That brings me to my next supply that we're using today, and that is this transparent, paper protector. I put this in between the page that we're drawing on and the page behind it to prevent any bleeding onto the following page. So this really helps a lot for that. And then we'll move on to these supplies. A while ago, actually it was right before, it was in October, I had pre-ordered one of Jazz's Pro Artist series boxes, and it came in right at Christmas. And if you haven't seen the video I had of opening up that box, go ahead and check it out. I'll pop it up in the iCard, or I'll put a link down in the description. Anyway, and it came with a set of markers and a 24 set of colored pencils. Now, Jazz had designed them specifically to work together so that you can create a variety of different illustrations or artworks or whatever suits your fancy. And then the next thing that I also used my 24 set of the Winsor & Newton Pro Brush markers. And those worked really well for different colors because I kind of had to combine these two because there was a couple of shades I used out of this set that weren't in this set. But either way, you can mix and match your sets. Just because you start out with one type of marker doesn't mean that you can't bring in a different brand. So that's something to keep in mind, is you can always combine your brands in your sets. They're not limited to one or the other. Another thing that I used is I brought in a Prismacolor white colored pencil, because even though this set does come with white, it's a very weak white. It is not very opaque, and to me it does not layer well. I'm sure that there is a use for that white. It's just, for me personally, I don't have one right now. So I pulled out my Prismacolor pencil from my Prismacolor set and was able to get do a little bit of layering to get those nice pastel colors that are known for in this on those Sweetheart candies. So that worked good for that, and we'll get into that. And then for some additional highlights, I used a Jelly Roll size 10 gel pen, and this worked great to get some of the real bright highlights. And I don't know if anybody else has used the Jelly Roll pens, but I have a 05 and this 10 in sizes for the Jelly Roll pens. And I don't know, but my 05, just the ink does not flow very well. So If you're going to get one of these, I would highly recommend doing a number 10 as opposed to something smaller. You may get lucky and, you know, have better fortune than I did, and yours will work just fine. It could be that the 2 of mine are duds. I don't know. But just as a caution, mine just, they don't flow very well when you want those bright, bright highlights. And the number 10 tends to do well. You can also use a Uniball Signo. That would also work really well too. Okay, so those are the materials that I used. In the description below, I will put the specific colors out of each of the sets that I did use in this video. So if you want to get that information, that will be in the description. Now let's go ahead and get to the drawing.
Okay, so in the base sketch here, I used the Prismacolor Col-Erase pencils. Actually, while I was sitting at my hair appointment, waiting for the color to set and all that good stuff, I actually had my sketchbook in my lap, and I just pulled out my Prismacolor Col-Erase pencils that I had with me and sketched out this drawing. I didn't have a reference photo per se. I just kind of looked at what the candies look like and then just kind of went with, you know, how I thought they should be placed. It was a very intuitive kind of illustration. It wasn't one that I had a full-on game plan for. So sometimes those turn out the best. And right now you can see that what I'm doing is I'm blocking in the dark shadows of the sides of the candies. This way, when I go in and color the tops of them with the markers, there will be a different color difference between the shadowed areas and the tops without having to use like a gray to desaturate the color. I wanted the color to be deeper, but I didn't want to desaturate it by adding gray. So what I did is I added a few layers of the same color 2 or 3 times to get it deep enough so I could add one layer on the surface, and you could see a definite shift in the color from one tone to the other. Now you can see that the orange is pretty saturated. Later on, I'm going to go in with that white Prismacolor colored pencil you see there on screen, and I'm going to desaturate that orange. So don't ever think that your colors, you can't get them a little bit lighter. And granted, that's within reason. You're not going to be able to get it to where it's like a cream color. But if you wanted to get it a little more pastel in this case, I was able to go in with that Prismacolor pencil and go over that deep saturated orange to give it more of a pastel appearance. So it really does help when you have a white opaque colored pencil, so you can do those sorts of techniques and make adjustments to your drawings or your illustrations. So if you do not have a Prismacolor pencil, I highly suggest you give it a go. You can buy them open stock, so if you're already stocking up on a different art supply, maybe throw it in your cart. They're pretty inexpensive. Also, the what's it called? The Derwent white drawing pencil works well too. And as you can see here, I forgot to put in the protective sheet underneath my drawing, so I slipped that in there real quick, and that really helped. So see what I mean by adding that white colored pencil? It just desaturated that orange just enough to where it didn't look quite so in your face. Now here I'm going in with the colored pencils from Jazz's Art Box from the Spectrum Noir line and adding in those deeper shadows on the sides of the candies to make them more three-dimensional. And Jazza really did a good job with incorporating colors that will work well together, being able to layer them. With just this small set, you know, you're able to get a lot of really good effects. So he really did a good job there. I loved working with these pencils. They sharpened really well. They layered fine. Honestly, I have no complaints about them. The barrel was thick enough. It was very comfortable to hold. And here I'm going in and just deepening those tones, and in the blank negative space, filling in those extra little bits of shading so it looks like you can see the candies beneath. And yeah, everything, I really had a good time doing this illustration. I had finished a lollipop earlier, and unfortunately I didn't get that one filmed, but this one I wanted to go in and do some candies. Now here I'm going and I'm starting on the bowl, and I like to put in some deep shadows first before I go in with my main color. And that's what I did here, is I used a couple of different gray tones to put in those deeper shadows, so then when I overlay it with the main red color, those shadows would already be there for me. And it kind of takes a little bit of the work out for the darker red tone that I'm adding here. So it deepens it. You don't have to add as many layers. And I really enjoyed the process. It gave me a great look. I love how vibrant the red is in this set, the primary red and the deep red. I'm also going in here with another gray so you can see the outlining of the bowl, so it gives you the illusion of everything. Now, as you can see, I used a different piece of paper here in my sketchbook to do some rough drawings and sketches of these candies, so I could nail down what the look I wanted before going in and working on my final sketch. And I encourage you to go ahead and try that as well. If you're someone that throws caution to the wind and says, to hell with it, I'm going to wing it, then more power to you. There are plenty of times I've done that as well. But this time, I wasn't 100% certain what kind of game plan I wanted and what outcome things were going to be. So I used the extra piece of paper, so this way I could get my shading right and I could determine what material I wanted to use to get those sayings on the bowl. So it turned out really great. I love it, and I hope you guys loved it too. You can see my desk looks quite chaotic after I get done with an illustration. I've got stuff just kind of strewn everywhere, and that's just a good sign that you had a lot of fun.
I hope you guys had a great time watching the video, just as much fun as I had making it. Everything was a lot of fun. It really didn't take that long. I did the outline sketch of this drawing when I was sitting at my hair appointment 2 days ago. Well, actually, I guess you could say it was yesterday. Let's see, it was 2 days ago. And so this was just a basic sketch. I used the Col-Erase pencils like we talked about earlier, and everything was just super simple. So that's always what works for me whenever I'm doing any kind of still life illustrations or anything, is I try to keep things as simplistic as possible and just include the necessary details or shapes that are going to give me the result that I want. So when you're making your ender sketches, keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be something that's super detailed, doesn't have to be something complicated, just something that is going to give you a guide so that you'll know where to lay your color down. And this really, for me, applies for whether I'm doing markers like this or watercolor or really anything else. So I hope you guys had a great time today. I know I did. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, let me know down below. I'd be happy to hear from you guys. If you have any other suggestions on what you'd like to see on this channel next, I'm open to anything you guys have to tell me. I would love for us to build this community together, and also I'll get to know each other and have a safe space to talk about art and show what we're all working on, and hopefully any of the things that I do on this channel can help you either improve your art, give you some ideas on maybe something you'd like to create. So if you decide to give this illustration a try, give me a shout out. My Instagram is Laura's Artfully Nerdy. I also have a Facebook page, same handle, Laura's Artfully Nerdy. Or you can give me a shout out down in the comments. That's also a great way. It helps to boost this channel and all the algorithm things. So I appreciate the help, and I will see you guys in the next one. Talk to you later. Bye.